Imagine you're standing out in this freezing forest.
That sounds miserable.
Oh, it is. You've lost absolutely everything. I mean, the whole government is hunting you down.
Right.
And then, out of nowhere, a complete stranger just steps out of the shadows.
Just some random guy.
Yeah, just a guy. And he looks at you and says, look, if you chop off your own head and hand it to me right now, I will solve all your problems.
Oh, wow.
Right. And imagine your response to that is just, yeah, sure thing.
That is quite the opener.
Pull up a stool. Yeah, right there at the corner of the bar is perfect. Slide that coaster over.
What can I get you? Just water for now. Works for me. Settle in.
It's late. The city's finally shut its mouth for the night, and you look like you need a drink to take the edge off. Welcome to tonight's deep dive. Just you, me, and the quiet professional wiping down the glasses across the mahogany here.
I try to keep things clean. So what are we diving into tonight?
Tonight, we are digging into this text from 4th century China. It's from a classic called the Ji.
Which means in search of the supernatural, right?
Exactly. And the source material drops two very famous names, Jiang and Mo Ye.
Oh, I've heard those names. Usually in, like, video games or something.
Right, yeah. If you heard them, you probably think this is some, I don't know, romantic tale about legendary ancient blacksmiths. But let me stop you right there.
Not a romance, then.
Not even close.
Yeah.
Wipe that fairy tale completely out of your head. This is a blood-soaked political thriller.
Oh, I like the sound of that.
Yeah, it's this dark, gruesome comedy of errors. And our mission tonight is to figure out how a powerless teenager and a nameless drifter use the most extreme, literal self-sacrifice imaginable to tear down a paranoid dictator.
It's a study in what happens when a system just, backs people into a corner where survival is no longer an option.
Exactly.
When the law is mathematically rigged against you, people stop playing by the rules of the living. What we're serving up tonight is a blueprint of how the absolute lowest class of society weaponize their own destruction.
So let's set the stage for you. 4th century China. It's a brutal era.
Life is cheap.
Very cheap. Power is really the only currency that matters, and our villain here is the King of Chu.
An absolute dictator.
100% absolute. And like all dictators, he does not sleep well. I mean, the guy is sweating through his silk sheets 24/7.
Terrified that someone is coming for his crown.
You know it. So he hears about this husband and wife engineering duo, Jiang and Mo Ye.
The blacksmiths.
Right, but they aren't just making horseshoes. They are the absolute top-tier weapons contractors of their day.
We're talking the ancient equivalent of Lockheed Martin.
Exactly. So the king sends his men and basically forces them to build him the ultimate weapons. We're talking about an apocalyptic deterrent.
Right, like an ancient nuclear option.
Yeah, and it takes Jiang 3 grueling years of just staring into a furnace to forge a pair of supreme mystical swords.
3 years.
Yeah.
That is a long time to be under a dictator's thumb.
One male sword named Jiang and one female sword named Mo Ye.
And think about the atmosphere in that forge. 3 years of intense labor.
Just sweating over the anvil.
Right. And they know the entire time that finishing the job is essentially a death sentence.
Wait, really? Why would they think that?
That is the trap of working for a tyrant. The king demands these weapons because he is terrified of his enemies outside the walls.
Sure, standard paranoia.
But the second those weapons are finished, his paranoia shifts to the people inside the walls.
Oh, right. Because if you know how to build the ultimate weapon, you immediately become a huge liability.
Exactly. I see guys in here at the bar all the time who think carrying a big stick makes them invincible. Kings are the exact same way.
They really are.
But tyranny is incredibly fragile. The psychology of absolute power means you are terrified of your own reflection.
So the king can't let the engineer live.
No, he cannot allow the only guy who knows how to make super weapons to just walk over to the neighboring kingdom and make a better one.
And Jiang is no fool. I mean, he's a straight shooter, but he can read the writing on the wall.
He knows what's coming.
Yeah, he knows that delivering these swords is basically a one-way ticket to the execution block. So, before he leaves for the palace, he decides to leave a mess behind.
A little insurance policy.
Exactly. He looks at his pregnant wife, Mo Ye, and gives her this cryptic riddle. He says, look at the South Mountain. A pine tree grows on a stone. The sword is behind it.
Classic ancient riddle stuff.
Right. So he packs up only the female sword, hides the male sword, and just walks out the door.
Leaving the wife behind.
Yep. He walks in, hands the single sword to the king. The king immediately realizes half the order is missing, throws a massive royal temper tantrum, and has Jiang executed on the spot.
It's a calculated final move, though. I mean, he understands he isn't walking out of that throne room.
Oh, for sure.
But by hiding the other half of the power, he ensures the king doesn't get a monopoly. He leaves behind a legacy of resistance for his unborn kid.
But let me push back on that for a second. If you're Jiang and you know the boss is absolutely going to kill you,
Why even walk into the palace?
yes, why not just pack up the pregnant wife, grab both swords, and disappear into the night?
Flee to a rival state.
Yeah, sell the swords there. Why intentionally walk into a buzzsaw just to leave a riddle?
Well, it's a very modern instinct to think you can just pack a bag and cross a border.
I mean, people did travel back then.
Sure, but in that era, borders weren't just lines on a map. They were controlled by massive, heavily armed military checkpoints.
Ah, right.
A famous blacksmith carrying heavy, mystical weaponry isn't exactly slipping past the king's guard.
He'd stick out like a sore thumb.
Exactly. If he ran, they would hunt him, his wife, and his unborn child down and kill them all.
So it was a diversion.
Right. By walking in and surrendering his own life, he buys his wife time. The state gets his blood, the king thinks he won, and the wife gets to fade into obscurity.
Man, what a hell of a sacrifice.
It really is.
It's like a rogue tech genius building the master nuclear launch codes, but he knows the dictator who ordered them is a complete psychotic.
Good analogy.
So he hands over exactly half the code, buries the other half on a flash drive somewhere in the desert, whispers a riddle to his pregnant wife, and takes a blindfold and a cigarette against a brick wall.
It's a brilliant final middle finger to the state.
It really is. But man, it leaves a heavy tab for the kid to pay.
Yeah, it's the inheritance of a grudge. The state thought it was solving a problem by executing the blacksmith.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Right. But all it really did was plant the seeds for a much more dangerous enemy down the line, a man with nothing to lose.
Which brings us to the kid. Fast forward a few years. The son, Chibi, grows up.
The boy with the heavy tab.
Exactly. He learns what happened to his old man. He sits down, thinks about it, and actually cracks the pine tree on a rock riddle.
Which is what? Exactly.
Which, by the way, turns out to be a wooden pillar resting on a stone base right inside their own house.
Oh, wow. Very clever, Dad.
Right. So Chibi unearths this dormant nuclear-grade mail sword. He spends his days sharpening this thing, just brewing in his own anger.
Trying to figure out how to assassinate the King of Chu.
Yeah, just a kid plotting against a king. Meanwhile, the king, because, again, paranoia is a disease that never actually sleeps. He has a prophetic dream.
What kind of dream?
He dreams of a boy with unusually wide eyebrows coming to kill him.
Wide eyebrows. Notice how the king's guilt manifests physically there.
Yeah, it's weirdly specific.
It's such an absurd detail. But the state apparatus doesn't just oppress people. It obsesses over them.
Totally.
The king takes a vague psychological dread from a bad dream and turns it into a concrete, nationwide manhunt.
He places a massive bounty on this specific teenager.
A nationwide, high-priced bounty.
Posters everywhere. Think about the stress of that. You're sitting there nursing your drink. Imagine your face is plastered on every screen in the country because a billionaire had a bad dream about you.
It's terrifying.
Chibi hasn't even gotten within 10 miles of the palace, and he's immediately forced to flee into the mountains.
Just a kid on the run.
Right. The kid is out there in the freezing wilderness, clutching this magic sword, just weeping in sheer frustration.
And you really have to appreciate the dark comedy of this power dynamic.
Oh, absolutely. You've got an angsty teenager with a really fancy knife deciding he is going to solo siege the ancient equivalent of the Pentagon.
It's insane.
I'm sorry, but that is mathematically impossible. The kid has zero chance. He's up against the entire state military complex.
It's entirely hopeless. And that hopelessness is really the crucible of the story.
How so?
When you are a single impoverished citizen and the entire machinery of the state turns against you, what are your options?
You can't exactly sue the king.
No. You can't hire a lobbyist. You can't even walk into the capital city to buy bread without being arrested for the shape of your eyebrows.
God, the eyebrows.
When every logical, survival-based path forward is blocked by a wall of authoritarian violence, the human mind begins to consider the unthinkable.
And boy, does he find the unthinkable. Because while he's out there in the woods literally crying over how impossible this revenge mission is, a mysterious guy just walks out of the shadow.
Drifter.
Yeah. The text just calls him a guest or an assassin. This guy looks at the crying teenager and says, I hear the king is paying top dollar for your head.
Quite the icebreaker.
Right. And then he says, tell you what, give me your head and your sword, and I'll go assassinate the king for you.
And Chibi just agrees.
He just agrees. He takes the magic sword and slices his own head clean off his shoulders.
It's a terrifying transaction.
Hold on. Stop the tape right here. This is where the story completely loses me.
You don't buy it.
I mean, I get being desperate, but this is absolute madness. Why doesn't the assassin just say, hey, kid, let me borrow the sword, I'll go do the job and bring it back?
Right. A normal favor.
Or why doesn't he train the kid? Why jump straight to chop off your own head?
It does seem extreme.
If some guy steps out from behind a tree and asks for your head, your first instinct shouldn't be compliance. Are we sure this isn't just, an ancient culture glorifying martyrdom a bit too much?
Well, it sounds like madness if you look at it through the lens of someone who actually has options.
Fair point.
You're asking why they didn't draw up a practical, business contract.
Yeah.
But look at it from Chibi's perspective.
Okay.
He has no money, no army, no influence, and now he essentially has no future. The only thing he actually owns of any value is the bounty on his own life.
Wow. Yeah.
The king set the price. The assassin is asking for proof of payment. For the truly powerless, their flesh is their only coin.
So it's not a transaction, it's a down payment.
It's absolute commitment. I mean, if the assassin just takes the sword, he could just steal it and run off.
True, it's a very valuable sword.
By asking for the kid's life, he's testing his resolve.
Right.
And by giving it, Chibi proves he is entirely committed to the destruction of the king, way above his own survival.
He removes his own fear of death.
Exactly. The king thinks he makes the rules because he's the only one allowed to deal death. But the second this kid decides he doesn't care about dying, the king's biggest weapon is completely useless.
It's still a tough pill to swallow, especially because of what happens next.
It gets weirder, doesn't it?
Oh, it gets weird. The text shifts into this bizarre, macabre, magical realism. So Chibi slices his own neck.
Right.
But his decapitated body doesn't fall over. It stands perfectly upright.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the hands reach up, catch his own severed head before it hits the ground, and holds it out, along with the sword, just offering it to the assassin.
That is quite the image.
The body just stands there like this bloody monument in the woods until the assassin looks at it and says, I promise I will not break my word.
And then?
Only then does the kid's corpse finally collapse. The absolute staggering insanity of trusting a random drifter with your literal severed head.
It's trust born out of utter desperation. The assassin isn't just taking a head in a bag.
What is he taking then?
He is taking a physical manifestation of pure, unadulterated resolve. The boy becomes the blade.
It's a grim bargain, but I gotta say, it gets results. The assassin packs up the head and the sword, and he walks right through the front doors of the palace.
Just like that.
The royal guards let him in because, hey, he's got the golden ticket.
He's got the bounty.
The king is ecstatic. He's looking at the head of the kid from his nightmares thinking he's finally won. The state has crushed the bug.
But the assassin has a plan.
Oh, a crazy plan. He plays it completely straight. He puts on this very grave, serious face and says, Your Majesty, this isn't just any head.
Set in the hook.
Exactly. He says this head is brimming with toxic resentment. If you just bury it, it's gonna curse you.
Which the king would totally believe.
Oh, he eats it up. The assassin tells him, you need to drop this thing into a massive bronze cauldron and boil it with a roaring fire or disaster will strike.
It's brilliant street logic. The assassin uses the king's own paranoia to build the trap.
Using his own weight against him.
Exactly. The king is already a man who executes blacksmiths and hunts teenagers based on bad dreams. He is practically primed to believe in curses.
He's a conspiracy theorist with an army.
Right. The assassin just feeds that existing psychological loop, steering the dictator exactly where he needs him to go.
He leads him right by the nose. The king doesn't even question it. He's just like, boil the head, get the big pot.
Naturally.
So they drag this massive bronze cauldron into the court, light a roaring fire under it, and toss Chibi's severed head right into the boiling water.
Sounds lovely.
And they boil it for 3 days and 3 nights. Just imagine the smell in that throne room.
Gross.
But here's the punchline. The head doesn't melt. It doesn't dissolve at all.
After 3 days.
After 3 days of a rolling boil, the head literally leaps up out of the water, bobs on the surface, and glares furiously at the king.
Just staring at him.
Just pure, unblinking, boiling rage staring right at the throne.
That image of the unboilable head is really the core truth of the whole story.
How do you mean?
Well, The state can apply all the heat and pressure it wants. It can subject the citizen to the most horrific, agonizing conditions.
Like boiling water.
Literally. But it cannot dissolve the fundamental truth of its own injustice.
Oh, that's good.
The anger of the oppressed, when you refine it down to its absolute purest state, is indestructible. You just can't boil away a grievance that legitimate.
I love that. And I just appreciate the dark, violent absurdity of what happens next.
Let me guess, Tarantino style.
Very much so. The assassin leans in, looks at the king, and says, "Sire, this kid's head is just too stubborn. The boiling water isn't enough."
Uh-oh.
He says, "You, with your immense divine kingly majesty, you need to walk over to the edge of the pot, lean over, and look down at it."
Oh, come on.
He tells him, "Your royal presence will crush its spirit."
And the king buys this.
The king, this iron-fisted, absolute ruler, the guy who commanded the greatest engineers of his generation, completely falls for it.
That is hilarious.
He falls for the oldest, "Hey, look over there" trick in the history of the world. He actually waddles over to the cauldron and leans his head over the boiling water to give the severed head a dirty look.
Wow.
You cannot buy that kind of stupidity. You have to be born royal to be that dumb.
It really exposes the ultimate vanity of the tyrant. He genuinely believes his own press clippings.
He thinks he's magic.
He actually thinks his kingly majesty is a tangible, magical force that alters reality. That his mere presence can somehow pacify a boiling cauldron of resentment.
It's pure ego.
He's been surrounded by yes men for so long, he forgot he's made of meat, just like everybody else.
Yeah, well, royal majesty is famously not heat resistant.
Hoop.
The second that royal neck extends over the rim of the pot, the assassin draws the mail sword, the very sword the king's paranoia commissioned years ago, and takes a swing.
Poetic justice.
The king's head is instantly severed. It plops right into the boiling soup right next to Chibi's head.
The circle closes. The weapon he demanded is the weapon that ends him.
But here's where I really need you to explain something to me.
Okay, shoot.
Because the assassin doesn't stop there. He knows the royal guards are right there. He knows he's completely surrounded.
Right, the whole court is watching.
He completed the contract. The tyrant is dead. But without missing a beat, the assassin swings the sword one last time and cuts off his own head.
He joins the pot.
He drops it right into the soup to join the party. Splash, splash, splash. Now, why do that? The tyrant is dead. Why not try to fight his way out?
It would work.
Or, better yet, why not hold up the sword and declare himself the new king? He just killed the dictator. He holds the power.
Because if he claims the throne, he just becomes the next tyrant.
Oh, right.
If he fights the guards, it becomes a conventional battle for power. By cutting off his own head, he completes the circuit.
He opts out of the game entirely.
Exactly. He prevents any retaliation, and he demonstrates absolute terrifying detachment. Neither Chibi nor the assassin engaged in this to gain power, to collect taxes, or to wear silk.
They didn't care about ruling.
Their only goal was the dismantling of the machine that was crushing them. And they recognized that the only way to permanently break that machine was to completely remove themselves from the equation of the living.
They didn't want to run the casino. They just wanted to burn it down.
Perfectly said.
And burn it they did. Because now we hit the epilogue, which is honestly the darkest, funniest punchline in all of ancient literature.
I love this part.
You have this massive bronze cauldron in the middle of the royal court. It's boiling away. You've got 3 heads in there. The teenager, the king, and the assassin.
A very weird stew.
The royal guards and ministers finally run up, and they are looking into this pot, absolutely horrified. And because the fire has been going for days, the flesh simply melts away from the bone.
Leaving 3 perfectly clean skulls.
3 identical skulls swimming in a thick cauldron of meat soup. The royal ministers are in a total panic.
They don't know who is who.
They are fishing around in the broth with ladles, trying to figure out which skull belongs to their divine, infallible ruler, and which 2 belong to a rebellious peasant and a nameless drifter.
And they can't do it.
It is biologically impossible. The absolute ruler of the land has ended up as a mystery ingredient in a communal peasant stew.
It is the great equalizer. This is the profound rebellion at the core of the text.
Break that down for me.
Well, the state spends an enormous amount of time in blood-building hierarchies. They build crowns, thrones, bounties, titles, massive palaces.
All the pageantry.
Right. They create a vast illusion to convince everyone that the ruler is fundamentally, biologically superior to the people he steps on.
But in the pot.
In that boiling cauldron, the illusion is completely obliterated. Underneath the robes and the titles, they are exactly the same. Bone and soup.
So the ministers, realizing they can't exactly give a royal state funeral to a random teenager and a drifter, are forced to compromise.
What do they do?
They scoop up all the soup, all the bones, all three skulls, and they bury the whole mess together in a single massive grave outside the city.
Covering up their incompetence.
Exactly.
Huh.
And they name it the Tomb of the Three Kings. They basically had to promote the kid and the assassin to royalty just to cover their own bases. It's the ultimate bureaucratic cover-up.
By sacrificing everything, the lowest of the low dragged the highest power down into the exact same dirt.
They really did.
They forced the state to memorialize its own destruction. The system couldn't process the anomaly of a peasant killing a god king, so it just slapped a grand title on the grave and hoped nobody would look too closely.
Swept it right under the rug.
But the story survives. It serves as a stark, permanent reminder that manufactured authority only works if people are afraid of dying.
That's the real lesson here.
Confront a dictator with people who have absolutely nothing left to lose, and the whole system collapses.
So, as you finish your drink, let's wrap this up. We started tonight talking about an ancient text that most people brush off as, a magical fairy tale about some neat swords.
A bedtime story.
Yeah. But when you actually strip away the folklore, what you find is a brutal, darkly humorous manifesto. It's a story about the absolute limits of tyranny and the terrifying, gruesome lengths to which the powerless will go to balance the scales. It is a reminder that when you push people into a corner where survival is impossible, they might just decide to drag you into the dark with them.
The psychology of the oppressed is a dangerous thing to underestimate.
You can say that again.
Once the fear of death is removed, the tyrant has absolutely no leverage left. And that is a universal truth, whether you are in 4th century China or sitting right here at the bar.
Exactly. But here's a final thought to chew on before you head out into the night.
Something for the road.
Yeah. It's a question that's been bothering me, and maybe it'll bother you on your walk home. We read the story today and marvel at the extreme, literal self-sacrifice.
It is impressive.
A teenager slicing his own neck just to feel a sliver of justice. It's framed as a dark, magical victory. But if an ancient society had to invent stories glorifying teenagers who weaponize their own suicides against the state,
Yeah.
what does that tell us about the real-world oppression happening outside the pages of the story?
Oh, that is dark.
Right. If hacking off your own head and becoming soup was their ultimate revenge fantasy, how horrific was the actual daily reality they were trying to escape?
It's a really heavy thought. The darker the fantasy, the bleaker the reality that birthed it.
Think about it. Thanks for pulling up a stool and joining us at the bar for this deep dive. The tab is covered tonight. Have a good night and watch your head out there.